Hello. Hi, Joanne here. Oh, should have looked in the mirror, shouldn't I? This is me being weird. It's all back to front and I can't figure out what's going on. Sorry. Oh, that's the wrong way. That's the right way. It's worse than when Oh, ah, there you go. I'm better if I don't look at myself and do that. Hi. Wanted to just quickly go live. I did a community post where I was asking about friends and if you could talk and be weird with your friends and that they would completely embrace it. And although there's only been one person who's responded, they said about their friends are okay if they're just talking about safe things. I thought, oh, I need to go on Facebook Live and just talk about that because a few of my posts that have had more views are talking about friendships and stuff. And I use the word weird. I use the word weird, and I think that's because there's times when I'm speaking to friends and I feel like I've sort of stepped across an invisible line into weirdness, and it's quite clear from the way they look at me that my interests are not normal or not okay. I was walking home with one of the moms from school. I was doing the school run and then we'd walk back together, and I knew that she was into writing, and I've written some books, and I wanted to talk about that. And then I started getting all excited about words. And I noticed that I was speaking louder and faster. And I was saying, yes, sometimes I just hear a word and then I have to write it down and I get all excited. And I'm thinking, I've got to use that word sometime soon. And she just smiled at me, but she didn't say anything. And I thought, okay, I've stepped into weird world again. And I knew that I wasn't supposed to be excited about that. I don't know. So, it was also reminding me of when I was younger. I remember being in the playground, and I think we'd set a challenge for ourselves, me and this other girl, about writing a song. This is very young, sort of 9, 10 years old. So I'd gone home and I'd written this song, and then I got to the playground, and she said no, she hadn't, and then I performed and did the song that I'd done, and the look that she gave me was, "That's wrong. What you're doing right now is wrong and not acceptable." And she didn't say that though, that was how I interpreted it. And I definitely had the feeling that you don't do things like that. And it's funny because I in the last year or so, I've kept thinking about that incident, about whether somebody had felt that I was just too weird and I'd done something wrong. Or maybe I've completely misinterpreted it. Maybe I was thinking maybe they're just surprised and that they couldn't imagine themselves doing something like that. And maybe it's surprising that somebody does a song, or maybe it's surprising that somebody gets excited about words and starts speaking fast and loud and sharing their excitement. And as you've probably guessed, I've started investigating the whole being autistic and ADHD, in particular about masking. And if you don't know what masking is pretending to be normal. And I'm not sure whether that rings a bell for any of you. It isn't that I want an autism diagnosis or an ADHD diagnosis. What I'd like to do is understand myself a bit better. And a lot of the stories that are coming out from those worlds really resonate with me. And also just the idea of how tiring it is to be masking all the time and to feel like you've got to be pretending and hiding the weird bit, and that I really struggle struggle in everyday conversations, in that a lot of the time I'm just not interested in some of the things they're talking about. I don't watch a lot of the popular TV shows and things like that, and I feel like I can't get excited. I'm really bad at pretending to be excited about something that I'm not. And And I think what I do is self-censor. I just tell myself to be quiet and not to talk about certain things because I know I just in my head, I'm saying nobody's interested in this and nobody wants to know your opinion. And it's curious because of the whole YouTube thing is I'm trying to find my people that are completely okay with my interests and hobbies, even if s even if the majority of the world think I'm a bit weird. I'm trying to find my people, so I don't feel like I've been super clear about what the YouTube channel is about because I'm still labeling it. I'm still grouping it and figuring out how to talk about it. Other than I really want to be comfortable just turning up. I want to be comfortable that I haven't really got makeup on. I want to be comfortable that my hair looks a mess. I want to feel like I'm talking to friends. I wanna feel like I can get excited about writing a book without you thinking, "Oh, she's showing off," or doing something like that. It's like, no, I'm just really excited. I haven't said I'm a Amazon number 1 best-selling author. I'm saying, "Ooh, I part wrote this book this morning." I was looking at the book that I wrote about thinking on your feet and giving feedback, and I'd written it before, it'd gone through the editing process, it came back to me, and then I felt like there's some things I didn't like because I waited too long. If you've ever waited on a creative project, sometimes if you wait a year and then you look back at it, you think, it's not me anymore. And I kind of got to that point and I rewrote the introduction. But today I was thinking, ooh, I could finish that and that would be fun. And I was writing some notes and looking at words and typing in, thinking on your feet, what's the meaning of that? And that this is a lie, and is it an oxymoron? And then I had to look up the word oxymoron and what does that mean? I don't know whether I've lost you now. Have I lost you? So that was what I found fun to do today. But there is definitely nobody talking about that in any kind of friend or social circle. Nobody's saying about, "Oh, I heard a word today and I looked it up and fell down a rabbit hole." This is all can't believe I'm sharing this. So, today I was thinking about this feedback book and I got all quite excited about it, but the problem with getting excited about it is that I'm now thinking, "Oh, I wanna rewrite the introduction," instead of thinking, "I need to finish this and get this out and put it up for sale," or anything like that. I got excited and attached to it again and thought, "No, I'm gonna need to rewrite this." I'd show you the book, but it's in the lounge at the moment because I was supposed to be just glancing at it, and then before you know it, I had a pile of papers beneath me. But yeah, so who am I talking to in terms of friends about these things? You. That's who I'm talking to because most of the people I know as friends have jobs or have busy lives and don't seem to share the quirks and interests that I have. And a couple of people that I know that are into writing don't seem to want this is awful, don't seem to want to talk to me about this kind of stuff. And I just feel like I don't know what I'm doing to to be so disconnected from them. I feel like I'm being open, and then I don't know whether this is from the autism world. I think maybe I'm just oversharing because I'm saying, "Oh, hey, this is difficult," or "This went wrong," or "Oh, isn't this funny?" And I think it's funny and that it's okay to share that, and other people don't seem to share those kind of stories. I was talking about this earlier on another video I did that I at the moment, because I've been ill, I was using Facebook a lot for reaching out to people, and I just kept feeling that all this is really shallow and pretend friendships, and yet it has the potential for me to reach people that I would never have spoken to before, and I'm okay going first. I'm okay sharing the cartoons or talking, and I've been doing the videos. I'm completely okay with doing the big signal of, "This is who I am." And yet people haven't responded. Privately, some people have connected to me and said, "Oh, that's brave, and we must meet up again soon." And that's been really nice. But a lot of the time, people have just said, I couldn't imagine doing that. I couldn't imagine being so public." But I think part of it from me is almost a desperation of, I really want to connect and make like-minded friends. I want to talk to people that are creating and figuring stuff out, and I wanna feel that there's a connection more than that surface level. I don't know, sometimes on Facebook, I feel like I'm a purse. It's just like, "Ooh, do you want to buy this off me?" It's like, "No, I'm not in that place right now." And then they go, "Okay, bye." And you think, "Wow, was that it? Is that all I was to you?" But anyway, there was somebody here for a moment, but then they're gone. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to make friends, and the one person that came left. If you're feeling, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer. I thought the answer was signal and be clear about who you are, and then your people will find you. But I don't know now. I don't know whether I don't know whether we're all so trained to be in our little boxes and hiding and keeping safe and not sharing some of the things that we get excited about. Maybe you've got loads of people that you're sharing things with, but I don't. And it would be really nice. It'd be really nice to feel like I was making friends with people who are also figuring stuff out in their life, not to talk about problems and not to sell to, but a sense of a flow in terms of, "Hey, I'm excited about this. Oh, this didn't work out," or, "Hey, this did work out." And I don't know if the online world will accept that. Does that make sense? I don't know whether they're saying hi to the people that are here. We're talking about friends. Do you have friends that you're talking to about your YouTube channel? I don't know whether what I want from a friendship is possible online. When I'm wanting somebody to be real and honest with me about, I'd like to be excited for people. When I see people doing the YouTube channel, I wanna be excited for them. And then if they've got a problem or they want feedback, I wanna be chatty and included in that too. I don't need them to show up as some sort of super polished version of themselves. I'm completely fine with seeing them as capable in one area, still learning in something else. I don't know whether you've seen any of the other videos I've done, but I hired somebody to do some branding shoots and somebody to help me with a bit of a wardrobe transformation type of thing. And particularly the lady that was doing the wardrobe transformation, it was clear that she was quite new at this as a career. But sorry, I'll get to your comment in a second. It was clear that she was new to this as a career, but I still felt like I could pay her and that she knew about that. Okay, she didn't know about some of the social media stuff and she wasn't doing the videos. I'm completely okay with that. Her pricing reflected that she was fairly new in the business. And I felt like I'm completely comfortable that you're still figuring out that, but you still have loads of value to add to me, and I'm happy to pay for you. But I feel like online, everybody's trying to be just one thing. You can't be the teacher and the student. You have to just do like the hard sell of, I'm the teacher, I'm the expert, I know what I'm doing, without any of the vulnerability. And I don't know if that's even possible online, if that makes sense. Let me go to the comment. They're saying one major disadvantage with online friends is that you cannot trust. Cannot trust. I'm not sure whether you meant to say cannot trust da 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 something else after that. I think I I think for me about the online friends thing is I haven't really found a sense that I can't trust people. I suppose in terms of the trust, it's more it isn't that I've been deceived by somebody I thought was a friend. It's that I feel like I've stepped over the line of sharing too much. I felt like I'm engrossed in the friendship and I'm sharing things and asking them things, and I'm clearly feeling much more connected to them in the DMs and feeling like, oh, we have something in common. This is exciting. And then they kind of shut things down about, okay, are you ready to be a client? You're going to pay the money. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. I thought we were two creators chatting and sharing the journey. That's what I thought. But they just saw me as a potential client. So I think in terms of the trust, I haven't really found that somebody's broken the trust. I feel like my thoughts are that I'm the problem. I'm the problem because I'm misreading the situation. That I want connections and friendships and they want customers. And I'm completely misunderstanding it. Somebody reached out and they were saying they did a Facebook post and they said, I've just created this project. Anybody prepared to give me feedback? And I'd spoken to her a few times. So I said, yeah, I'm interested in giving you feedback. I quite enjoy the articulating how I feel side of things. So she sent me the work. And then I wrote back to her and said, I'm ready to give you the feedback. How would you prefer it? Do you want to call or do you want me to just write down some notes? And then she paused. It was a really long, it was like a few days before she wrote to me. And I thought, ooh, I don't think she wants feedback. And then I saw a Facebook post where she was selling the particular thing that she sent me. And I thought, well, I thought she was asking me for feedback so that she could improve upon it before selling. No. So she wrote back to me and said, please put your comments on, be really grateful for your comments on this Facebook thing or whatever. And it's clear what she wanted was a testimonial about how good something was. And I thought, well, you asked for feedback and I wanted to give you feedback. In fact, my feedback was I felt like was very generous, but clearly she didn't want that. So again, that's me misunderstanding things, isn't it? I thought I'm taking people literally. I don't know if that makes sense. So, and I don't know the people that are watching this. I was mentioning earlier about looking at the being autistic and the ADHD world. I'm not sure that I am those things, but I relate to a lot of the stories. And I think this taking people literally is something that I do. So if somebody asks me for feedback, I think, oh, they want feedback. That's great. I like to feel that my opinion is valued. And I really like the challenge of putting feelings into words. And I like the idea of connecting to somebody and I want to encourage them. And if I see that something really simple that can be improved, I'm thinking, how fantastic. What an opportunity. I can just say that they're great. If they tweak this, they're going to be going on to fantastic success. That's kind of how I'm seeing it as the feedback. But no, they didn't really want feedback. They wanted a testimonial. So constantly frustrated and different things. Got any suggestions about making friends? Do you try to do the whole friends online or are you just sticking with your friends that are offline and maybe online people are just customers or an audience for a YouTube channel? I don't know. Some of my favorite YouTubers, I feel like they are friends or they could be friends. I listened to somebody called the Minimal Mom about minimalism, and I can tell when she's following a tighter script to when she's just chatting. and it's nice. I still feel like she can teach me something and help me with different things, but it still feels like a casual conversation, and that she's letting me get to know her, and sometimes she makes mistakes, but something she's learning, sometimes she's super great at things. So, the person who's here saying, "I prefer sticking with offline friends. At least you can understand emotions." Yeah, it would be nice to stick with offline friends, but as I say, lately I've been feeling that there's some miscommunication and misunderstandings with offline friends. I say real life friends, but you know what I mean, sort of not online, in the real world type of thing. I think it's again, I'm not sure if I'm being way too hard on myself. I feel like I'm oversharing. I'm saying that I've got particular problems in certain areas, or I'm saying that I'm excited about certain things. And then their face tells me that I've done something wrong. And I think lately, as I say, I was learning about the autism world. I think previously I was doing a lot of masking, but I was finding that quite tiring. And now I'm trying to just be myself and find my own people. I'm finding it harder to mask. And other than keeping quiet and smiling and nodding when I see people, that's completely unsatisfying as a friendship. But I know there's friends that I've got since I've been at school, and everything they seem to say that the friendship is fine, and then you see that they're doing other things where they haven't included you. So again, what have I done? What am I not seeing other than something weird about me, the way I talk? I feel like I'm sharing too much with you. And next lesson, how do you overcome frustrations? I think when I was 18, 19, 20, I used to feel frustrated with a lot of things. And then, again, this is probably sharing too much with you. This is a weird thing to share. I did an IQ test for Mensa. I'm not sure if you've heard of Mensa. Mensa is if you've got a higher IQ, there's a group you have to be in the top 2% of the IQ. So I've got 18, 19, 20. I'm frustrated. I, I, things aren't happening, but I don't know. The whole point about frustration is for me is that it was linked to confusion, that I didn't know why I was feeling so stuck and frustrated with things. And then when I was 21, I did this IQ test. And then I thought, oh, that makes sense. So the answers that I'd given myself of "You belong in this particular spot" were not I thought I belonged in this particular spot because everybody said, "Oh, you should be a waitress or you should just work behind a bar. That's where you belong." And I felt this sense of frustration, but I didn't understand. People were saying to me that's where I belong, but I didn't understand where this feeling was coming from of I don't think I do belong here or should be doing this. And then as soon as I did the IQ test, I was like, oh, my explanation, I was doing 2 plus 2 and saying 28. My explanation was wrong, and that was what was leading to the frustration. It's that disconnect and the confusion. I don't know if that's making sense. So as soon as I knew, oh, I had a higher IQ and I'd been assuming I was stupid because I did stupid things sometimes, that that explanation took away some of the frustration because it was a better story. It was in terms of cause and effect. It's like, I'm feeling all these things. Why am I feeling all these things? And then suddenly I had an alternative explanation and things started to make sense. And then, you know, I could do something about that. It was like, what if my explanation for the way things are working right now isn't true? What if there's another explanation? I don't know if I'm explaining this clearly. So if there's an alternative explanation, does that suddenly make everything make more sense? Because I was getting different conflicting pieces of information. I was doing some stupid things. I had not done well at school. There was lots of things that would say, "You belong as a waitress," or "You belong working in a shop," or something like that. But something else was a feeling inside of me that that was causing this frustration or disconnect or something like that. And so as soon as I had this other story of, okay, you may be doing things that are stupid and saying things that are stupid sometimes, but actually you are intelligent. And I didn't realize until I was 39 that I was dyslexic. And then it's like, oh, of course, it all makes sense now. Of course, I was not doing particularly well at school, but actually was capable. And then those two things conflicting meant that I was frustrated and confused. So I don't know whether that helps. You asked me, how do you overcome frustrations? I think it's about getting alternative stories and alternative ideas of, I think this is because of this. And it's like, but what if it was because of something else? What other story can I tell myself that may suddenly make everything a little bit clearer? You also said that you're currently that age. You mean like the 18, 19, 20? Oh, that's it's funny. Somebody said to me, like, what advice would I give to my 16-year-old self? It's like, my 16-year-old self would not be listening to a 52-year-old woman. My 16-year-old self, I thought I knew myself really well. I thought I knew my career and my future really well. And I would not have been listening to anybody older. I do think the one piece of advice, because I left school at 16, the one piece of advice I would have given is to do some sort of those, the IQ test or the personality profile test. I didn't do a lot of those until I was much older. And what they do is, you've probably done, I don't know whether you've done the personality profile test. They separate you into sort of type A, type B, whatever. When you read the description afterwards, very often it made me cry because I was like, that is me. I'm not completely on my own. I'm not just weird and the only person that feels like that. I'm 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 fitting into this category. Or I don't know whether have you done the Jordan Peterson, the Big 5, is I think it's Understanding Yourself. And I'm just trying to think what the word is that he calls it. Begins with a C. Um, begins with a C, and it's about being conscientious. That's what it is, about being conscientious. And he said, besides IQ, being conscientious as a personality trait is highly linked with success. I got 4%, 4% for being conscientious. I don't That kind of explains a lot. And then I got in the 90s% for what he calls openness as a personality trait, rather than, it's linked with creativity, but he didn't call it creativity. He was saying it's openness. And what he said about it was, if you're open to new ideas, you may find that it's really hard to make decisions because you're so open that you have this idea, and you're listening to all the ideas, you're listening to all the experts. And I thought, that is exactly how I feel. I feel like it's quite a lot of inner conflict going on because I'm open to listening to the different ideas. And I thought, oh, it's about being open and creative. So I would say, if you've any advice, you didn't ask me for advice. Any advice I would give to my 16-year-old self is, try and do a few of these tests, because you may surprise yourself that you you give yourself an alternative explanation for some of the things that you do that may make everything start to seem a little bit better. So, you're still here. Do you have any other questions for me? As I say, I swear, at 16, 18, 19, I would not have been listening to any kind of advice from anybody who's older. I really was sure that I knew myself and that I knew I was frustrated, but I was very certain that I was stupid and that the way forward for success was to work hard and work my way up. I really had very limited awareness of other things in the world. Do you have any questions for me? I'm wondering if you're doing the game. Are you doing a gaming channel? The fact that it says the name. Wondering if you're doing a gaming channel. Anyway, I've been talking for 30 minutes. Thank you for keeping me company. That was a really nice surprise. I didn't advertise doing a live beforehand, so it was a really nice surprise that somebody turned up. And I hope you're not feeling frustrated. I hope you consider the possibility that there's an alternative story or explanation, and that maybe there's things about yourself that you don't know, and then you're just like, "Ugh, I'm open, I'm a creative. That's why I'm feeling conflicted sometimes." And you're saying, you do have one thing. When you realize you're not in the right track, you will definitely seek advice like me. Oh, that's very sweet. Yeah, I think I've been wondering a lot lately about being on the right track. I have this idea of what the right track will feel like, in that everything will fall into place. And I don't know whether you're interested in the idea of synchronicities. I love it when say that sense of, "Ooh, that's just fallen into place," and that's feedback that's positive, and that feels really great. But I was listening to something the other day, and they were saying how sometimes it's hard to know if you're on the right track. Sometimes it's obvious, isn't it? Sometimes it's like, this is so unfulfilling. This is so obviously not the right track, or this is so hard. But sometimes it's hard to know if you're on the right track. I don't know if you've seen any of my other videos. I do this thing with journaling with cartoons, and part of it was, I don't know if you've heard of journaling. Journaling is where you write out pages, but I was being lazy and just doing cartoons with a quote. What was interesting is to look back on them and really remind myself things that I'm interested in. And I was feeling it, I wouldn't have worded it as being on the right track or off the right track. I was I was lost more than am I on the right or wrong track. I was feeling lost. I was feeling like things that interest me and excite me, other people don't want. And then, as I say, I was doing the cartoons and I was sharing the cartoons. And I had some people reach out to me and say, "That's exactly how I feel." And they seem to connect to those more than anything else. So I don't know why I was telling you that. They say, "I'm listening because a person with 50 years of experience has a good perception of life rather than a teenage social media influencer." Oh, that's very kind of you. It's very kind of you to listen and to be here. Yeah. I I would say any advice I would give, which my younger me would not have listened to, is be open to the possibility there's things about yourself you don't know. And and in a way, that's the fun bit of getting older. Is you get older and there's things that you'll absolutely definitely say, "I cannot do." And 10 years time you'll be doing. And there's things that you'll say, "If I work harder, I'll figure that out." And in 10 years time you'll realize, "Ah, that I wasn't supposed to be doing stuff like that. That's actually not the way my brain's wired." So it's just completely squiffy. When I was I say I left school at 16, I ended up going to university at 25. So there's a lot of figuring out there. And then I moved to Spain, and then I lived in Kazakhstan, and then I lived in Myanmar. None of these things I thought I would do. All these things I thought you had to be a millionaire to do. And suddenly opportunities come up. There's things about myself that I didn't know, and there's things about the world I certainly didn't know. And really what I'm doing is showing up on YouTube and sharing the still stuff. I don't know. I don't know who's gonna respond to me. I don't know who's gonna listen or what I'm even gonna be talking about. Oh. This is why I said to people in another video, you need a microphone with a stand, because I keep doing that, resting my head on the microphone. But anyway, thank you so much for chatting and for putting some comments up. It really means a lot to think that somebody would just hang around and engage in a conversation. And I wish you loads of luck with your channel and whatever you're doing. And I hope I hope you feel that somebody brightens your day the way you've brightened mine by just showing up and adding some comments. But I'm going to go because it's been over half an hour. But you take care. Bye.